Being able to understand and apply chord inversions in the music you play will make you a much better musician. In this video, I'm going to explain what chord inversions are, and I'll share some exercises you can use to learn them and get them under your fingers. And then I'll show you a few different ways you can apply them to the music that you're playing. Inversions will allow you to go from one chord to another chord in a more natural and pleasing sounding way. This subtle movement of notes is called voice leading. Inversions also add more variety to your chord progressions and break up the monotony of playing every chord in the exact same way. Let me give you a demonstration. Here is Pachelbel's canon only using normal root chords. Sounds nice, but it also sounds a little basic. It probably could be a little more interesting. Now let's try with inversions. That sounds much more interesting, and it also evokes the beautiful quality of the music better. So what actually are inversions? Chord inversions just rearrange the notes in a chord. Let me show you with a C major triad. This is called the root position because the root of the chord C is on the bottom. Now if we take this C and make it the top note up here, this is called the first inversion. So now we have the third note of a C scale on the bottom. And if we take this and move it up an octave, this is called the second inversion, where we have the fifth note of the scale as the lowest note, the third is the highest, and the C, the root, is in the middle. If we bring it up one more time, we're back to where we started. Now, if you want to learn inversions, you should understand the hand shapes a little better. The root position is every other note, so it works nicely to have a normal position, one finger per note, playing your thumb, middle finger, and pinky. For inversions, the two outside notes are actually 6 notes apart, so you need to stretch your thumb one note, like this. With the thumb extended one note, I call it a mitten position. Since we have one finger per note here, skip a note, and then you have your thumb. Your pointer finger is actually on G, so it makes sense to use 1, 2, and 5, or your thumb, pointer, and pinky. And for the second inversion, we keep this hand shape, move it up 2 notes, and now our middle finger is on C, so we use 1, 3, and 5 in that same mitten hand shape. So the point is to go from one version to the next, actually keep the hand shape. A lot of people try to figure it out, or they try to use their middle finger on everything, and it's just a little trickier. To learn these shapes better, we want to learn to quickly go from one to the next, up and down. The good thing about learning these hand shapes and when to use your pointer finger is that they apply for all triads. Whether it's black notes, white notes, major, minor, it's all the same. Once you get the fingering down, you can practice on other chords. Another great exercise is the 1-4-1-5-1 chord progression. In the key of C, that would be C, then the fourth note of the scale F, back to C, and then the fifth note of the scale G, and then C. But we use inversions. Start in a root position, and then the F chord is the second inversion. We just bring the top 2 notes up, then we go back, then we bring the bottom 2 notes down for the G chord, and then back. So C, F, C, G, C. Once you're good at that, you could actually start on the other inversions. Why don't we start on the first inversion of a C chord? Or the second inversion. I want to share one more exercise that will help you apply inversions when you play an actual song. This exercise I call Choose Your Own Adventure, because it's like those old books where you have 2 options and you choose one, and that's your adventure. Let's try using the chords to Pachelbel's canon. We can start on a D chord, and the next chord is A. We have 2 options. We can either go up to A, or we could go down to A. And let's choose one. Well, this one was a little closer going down, so let's go with that. Next, we could either go up to the B minor chord or down. Going up would be this, or going down would be this. This is a great way to practice potential paths through the chord progressions using voice leading and inversions. Now let's look at a few different ways we can apply inversions in a song. The first way is to play chords in your left hand while playing a melody in your right hand, and you can voice lead these chords using inversions. Let's look at the song I Can't Help Falling in Love by Elvis. The first 3 chords are C major, E minor, and A minor. Now instead of jumping around these root position chords, we could voice lead them by taking the E minor and bringing it down an inversion to the second inversion. And now look, to get from C to E, we just change one note. And then we're that much closer to the A minor. Another way to use inversions is to play the chord and the melody in the right hand and play bass notes in the left hand. The melody will dictate what inversion we use because it should be the top note of the chord. In the same example, that first melody note is C, so we'll use a first inversion, C chord. The next melody note is G, so we'll use a second inversion, E minor. And then we go back to the C for A minor, so we'll use a second inversion, A minor. And we can use this technique for the entire melody. And a third way to use chord inversions is to use them in the bass notes. I'm going to do the same chords in the right hand. In the left hand, I'm going to come up with some interesting bass lines by using inversions as the bass notes. Let me know down below if that helps you, and I'll see you next time.